He is Carlos Vela, El Rey for LAFC. Welcome to LAFC Plus, episode 57, if you can believe that. He is Mario Ruiz. I'm Dave Denholm. Mario, always a pleasure to talk to you, buddy. Good to see you.
Yeah, likewise. Not too much going on, huh? At LAFC with the black and gold here today. Nah, not even. The opposite, actually. There's a whole lot going on with the black and gold, as it should be. If you want to be one of those top clubs around the world, you got a lot of things going on, like the playing game for the FIFA Club World Cup, which everybody's pumped up about. And then, of course, the news of Carlos Vela setting his retirement. So a lot of things going on with the black and gold to talk about today, Dave.
Absolutely. A lot of things to talk about. Almost didn't get my crutches out of the shot earlier, so I'm glad I got those settled. If you're watching on YouTube, we appreciate that. I got to tell you, if anybody who's suffered an ankle or foot injury where you can't put any weight on it for weeks and weeks, you know what I'm talking about. So annoying. But we move on because it's a great day. It's a great show. Carlos Vela officially retires. That's not great, but in a way it is. I mean, we certainly want to celebrate. We don't like to see him, greats like him leave the game, of course. It's sad, but everybody has to retire at some point. That's the nature of professional sports. So on another level, it is great because he's sticking around the club. Carlos Vela, the first ever signing for LAFC, has officially retired, and he's going to be the first ever black and gold ambassador. This was kind of in the works for a while. Obviously, not a big surprise, thankfully, that it's happening, but he's staying around the club, Mario. That is a good thing. That's always a good thing.
Oh, yeah, always a good thing. He's one of the most beloved players in black and gold history, probably the most loved player in black and gold history. And what a perfect player just to start the club, right? I mean, a Mexican superstar in a heavily populated Mexican city here, wound up being the star of the league for many, many seasons here in MLS. MVP type performances year in and year out, won all kinds of trophies. Promised he would bring trophies to LA, and he did. I mean, just what more can you ask for from this guy? And he took a big risk on this whole project of LAFC, right? Because it was just a project, just an idea. And he had the vision, just like LAFC had the vision, to come out here and start something special. And he decided to join the club. No stadium was built. The fan base was barely getting started by the 32-52 because they were banging their drums early on. So he had that. That was about it. There was no players. There was not much here. And he took that risk and he just made it happen. He was a big part of what is LAFC now.
And a big part of what, trusting John Thorrington and Bob Bradley, of course. So he had to, you're right, he had to take that leap of faith. They did too, as well. The club had to take a leap of faith on him, not because he's not a great player, but anytime you're making that first move, that first massive move, it has to work, right? Things can go really wrong if it doesn't for an expansion team, especially when it's like you're basically from day one, you're saying we're building around this guy. That's it. I mean, that's the bottom line. It doesn't go if he doesn't work. And thankfully, Carlos Vela is just too good and works too hard and is too much of a professional to let it fail, right? He was great from day one in every aspect. So, and I got to tell you, it's no surprise. I mean, I've been around watching this league as you have since the day one. So all you kids out there who might not even be that old, they're probably younger than MLS who listen, but I've been watching it since the first kick of this league all the way back in 1996. And you can't really go wrong signing a true Mexican superstar in this league. And Carlos Vela's a list of them, but Vela's the best of them in MLS. Yeah. But you can't go wrong. Honestly, it seems, because these guys, to have the work ethic, I mean, I know it's like kind of a painting with a broad brush, but when it works seemingly every time to get the true Mexican superstar, I'm not talking about just Mexican players who, might be nice players. I'm talking about the guys you're building around, like foundational, even Chucky Lozano down in San Diego, same type of thing. These guys will run through a brick wall for you on the pitch. That's all there is to it. I mean, they're winners.
LAFC chose Carlos Vela, just like John Thorrington said in the introductory press conference way back when Carlos first got here. They chose Carlos Vela, and Carlos Vela chose LAFC because he had other options. And he was the one that said, no, I want to go to LA. So that was huge.
Absolutely. And I'm talking going all the way back, though, the Luis Hernandez's, the Hermosillo's, I mean, so many names, Sanchez, I mean, greats, right? And just building around those guys, and they always work. They always perform. They always hustle. And Carlos was the best of them all, in MLS, no doubt about it. And truly a true great. Like, we throw these words around in sports a lot, but you know how I've always felt, and Mario feels the same, I'm sure. Other than Messi, again, the most talented, like, physically gifted player that's ever played in MLS. That doesn't mean he's like the greatest, like, in world football. We've had some super, like, Lothar Matthäus played in MLS back in the day, although he was not good in MLS, but he was a legend. There's been equal to Vela in terms of the name and legend and, David Beck. But Carlos Vela, like, he just did it all. Like, he was just the best from day one. Like, he was just utterly dominant. No question helped a guy like Diego Rossi develop, a 18-year-old who showed up at LAFC and did pretty darn well for himself and has had a great career, since and continues to. And no question, Vela was a huge part of that. I'll tell you one thing, too, like, things that are underrated about Carlos Vela, not only his skill, which we all know, he's just more skillful than I've just about seen any player except for Messi, quite frankly. He was a great teammate, which didn't have to be the case. Let's be honest about professional sports that way. A lot of times the number one player on a team doesn't exactly get along with everybody. And, that just happens in pro sports sometimes. That wasn't the case, Mario. He was just literally, to say he was one of the guys, he was joking around all the time with them. Whether you were a rookie or a seasoned veteran, he got along with you. He talked to them. He, helped them out if he could, but also just, was a guy on the, on the team, just hanging out. Like, it was perfect. It was utterly perfect. That was one thing that you hear each and every time when you talk to former LAFC teammates of Carlos Vela. You listen to them talk about Carlos, and they all say the same thing: how much of a good person he is in the locker room and just being around the guys. They all say that, and it's been that way for years. We talked to so many teammates, and even to LAFC2 guys or academy kids. When they do get a chance to meet Carlos, they just say, he's such a nice guy. He's such a good person. So to say that about Carlos, I mean, that is just awesome to show what kind of a person he is, not only just with that magical left foot, but just deep down as just a person that he is. Yeah, it doesn't, look, we're only 8 years into this, 8 seasons, right? In the history of, I don't care if there's 108 seasons that go by. In 100 years, if you're a black and gold fan, you'll know who Carlos Vela was. That's just the way it's going to be. That's just part of the history. And I want to take you back, Dave. I want to take you back to those Rossi days, those 2018 days, LAFC. Sure. I got a little surprise here. We're going to go back to memory lane here because I got some photos here. This is you and Carlos here. I don't know if you remember this picture, on YouTube, but if you watch us on YouTube, you can see these photos that Mario has found. This is from March 3rd, 2018, in like an empty conference room on the campus of UCLA. And like, for those that don't know this, LAFC trained there at UCLA before the Performance Center at Cal State LA was built. Yep. This is like 2 days before the first ever LAFC match in Seattle, where LAFC won at CenturyLink Field. Right. Yeah. So that's an awesome picture right there of you and Carlos just right before history is about to be made. Wow. Well, let's just put it this way. One of us in that picture looks a lot older than 8 years ago. And I'm going to give you 2 guesses on who looks way older than he did just 8 years ago. And it ain't Carlos Vela. I'll tell you that much. Jeez. Wow. And then I got another one here just a couple weeks later. Weeks later, you see those the brick buildings there from UCLA. It's you and Carlos just about to start training, and you kind of doing a little interview here with him. And of course, he's always been gracious with his time and being a part of our broadcast and stuff. Well, look, it was an exciting time, right? We were so pumped. One of the things that makes all this stuff easier as a professional sports franchise from top to bottom is winning. Right? As soon as you can, you have to develop a winning culture right away. And this guy, Carlos Vela, as I point to the picture that I'm looking at on YouTube, that's the guy who did it. He set the tone in terms of winning right from the jump. And he just would not let this team have a bad performance right out of the gate, and look, we did occasionally. I shouldn't say obviously LAFC didn't win every match. I'm not saying that, but to be that good as an organization all the way, top to bottom, right from the jump. And now, again, a lot of people to thank for that, but this guy set the tone on the pitch every game and just was, 2019, Mario, we go there. We go from 2018, which was almost unthinkable as an expansion team for how good it was, to 2019. And you win the Supporter Shield. You're the best team in the league. And, oh, by the way, you're one of the best teams in the history of the league. Some would argue you are the best team in the regular season ever. And Carlos Vela had the best season we've ever seen in MLS. And it's not even close.
What a year. I don't know if we're going to see another year like that. By any team or any healthy, player.
I guess he could, but even he's not on that.
That's going to be tough. It's going to be very tough.
Exactly. In terms of, it's hard to play that many games at Messi's age and stuff. And Carlos was available. I think he played 31 matches in the regular season, scored 34 goals, and had 15 assists in 31 games. We know
talking about promises. 34. This guy just over-delivered.
Oh my
over-delivered. And talking about 2019, this is from 2019, this picture of me and him. Right before 2019 was about to get started, I'm doing a little recording of Carlos. He's doing liners, is what we call it, for the radio broadcast. So he's saying like, hey, this is Carlos Vela. You're listening to LAFC on ESPN LA. So that was fun. Just memories here of Carlos and our interactions with him just from LAFC Plus and the radio broadcast. It's cool to look back at.
Well, I don't mind saying it now, too. It's like, and I might have even touched on this some. One of the greatest smiles in the history of professional sports too. He was always walking by and he would smile and it was like, good night. He just lights up the room.
Yeah.
The guy just has that kind of smile. But what I loved about Carlos too is like, he was always friendly to everybody around there because he doesn't have to be friendly to us. No, as a human being, you would hope people are. Yes, of course. But in terms of the world of professional sports, you and I have been around a long time. He didn't he doesn't have to be overly friendly to us, but he just, that's just who he is, and I'll say this, I won't say what happened, whatever, but we shared a very nice moment. We had many, but really a very nice moment in a loss in that heartbreaking final game loss in the MLS Cup in 2023.
Columbus.
After winning it the year before, which was an amazing memories, of course. We'll never forget those. But it was just sharing a moment with him on the pitch way after the match. They were about to go. Like we were about, just like basically the stadium's empty almost. And just to share that moment because we didn't know what was going to happen, frankly, in the future, like didn't know what was the situation exactly how it was going to play out for the rest of his career even. So, I will always remember that. Just a great guy. Obviously glad that he's still around. Of course, we'll see him, and in his ambassador role, he's going to have a day coming up in September where it's going to be all about, honoring him specifically, which is great. Of course, I'm sure the club has many other things coming down the pipeline with that.
That's going to be on September 21st versus Real Salt Lake.
Yeah.
September 21st. It's going to be Noche de Carlos Vela. So who knows what's going to happen on that night. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot of festivities and I don't know, maybe a statue outside that would be well deserved. I don't have any idea, any clue. I haven't heard anything, but he would deserve that as well. Whatever. What a great night that's going to be for Carlos and for all the LAFC fans at BMO Stadium.
Yeah, eventually, who knows? Again, we're just speculating if they're ever, if it goes farther, like certainly he'll be honored, around. We'll see the jersey, you don't really retire jersey numbers in soccer in case people are wondering about that. You just don't do that. The number 10 would be, obviously that's his number, but it would be, if you think about the history of the sport of soccer, like all the number 10s, nobody gets their jersey retired or anything like that, but it's more about celebrating him and just remembering what he gave to the club. There's no doubt about that will never go away. All-time leader in goals and assists. Yeah, no kidding. 78 goals, 59 assists in MLS. Look, records are made to be broken. They'll always be overtaken at some point, just that's just the way the world works. But nobody will ever forget all those goal contributions and just, basically contributing a goal of essentially every game. And when he was red hot, like in the best years of his career, which were, a big part of that early days of LAFC, 49 goal contributions in the 31 games he played in MLS in 2019. That is just ridiculous, utterly ridiculous for one guy. He was outscoring teams, like it's like
he was.
He was responsible for more goals than many teams that year scored, and that's all you need to know about that. So we love you, Carlos. We love,
and usually, Dave, we're used to him painting masterpieces with his left foot, right? But actually, I have a masterpiece painted by his left hand because actually it's a one-of-one piece of art, hand drawn by Carlos Vela. I have it right here. This is 2 months after winning the MLS Cup. Mm-hmm. They haven't got their championship rings yet, so we asked him to draw a picture of what he thought the championship ring was going to look like. So if you could see here, this is what he drew. He drew that there, and he autographed it there.
That is great.
So this is a one-of-one piece of art from Carlos Vela.
Amen. That is so cool that he signed it too. That was smart of you guys, just to get everybody. I love that.
Yeah,
that's awesome. This is
and he had a blast doing it too.
Yeah, and I don't play this because it was my call or anything. This still is the most spectacular goal I've ever seen in my life. I don't care. I know there's been goals in World Cups that are huge or whatever. This was just a regular MLS game, regular season. During that great year, of course, where LAFC were just destroying teams, and this was no different that night against San Jose. This was one of my favorites, if not my favorite goal. Yeah, it probably is my favorite goal of all time, too. So let's just listen to that. This is a goal from Carlos Vela.
Pettis toward the middle of the field now. Through the center circle. Good pass to Vela. Vela lets it go towards Rossi. Back to Vela. Continuing his run into the area. Vela around the defender. Oh, my goodness. Around the keeper and in. I have not seen anything like that. What a goal. Carlos Vela. It was traffic cones from San Jose. I cannot believe what I just witnessed. A goal for the ages from Carlos Vela. It's 3-0. Around the defender, around the keeper, and slots it home. He walked it into the back of the net. His 26th goal in 25 matches.
Oh. Chills, baby. I got chills just remembering that.
I just remember exactly right. I mean, I can see it, every movement. Just a beautiful. Perfect goal. The guy he was at a different level. Not just that night, of course, but every time he went on the pitch, realistically, but just so good. And everybody has stood around and watched in awe. I mean, even the defenders at that point, like they weren't, there was nothing they could do. And they knew it as soon as he got up to speed, like once he hit full speed, it was just a thing of beauty. Truly one of the greatest goals. It's one of the greatest goals in world football history. A lot of people won't have ever seen it. Because, again, it was just a regular season. A lot of MLS fans probably have never even seen it, which is a shame. It's one of the greatest goals you could ever see. It really was. And that was just, what a night. What a player. And it's so great that he's still sticking around the club as, a black and gold ambassador. Hopefully that role will, continue to develop for him, as the future, unfolds and everything else. Still going to be a huge part of this club. It's great that he's retiring as a member of LAFC, right, Mario? It would kill me. Look, everybody has to make their own choices. I would have wished him well, but I'm just so glad he didn't end up playing with someone else, honestly. I really am. I'm selfish about that. I admit. I'm sure LAFC fans are selfishly admitting the same thing. It's just he retired as a member of the black and gold and will always be. So love it.
And the ambassador role part is a great thing too, because he's not gone. Like he didn't play and now he's gone and we'll never see him again. We're going to be seeing him often at the stadium or whatever he's going to be doing. So he's still going to be around. So fans are still going to be, there's still going to be opportunities for fans to be around him, maybe get a picture, autograph, whatever. So that's really, really cool.
Yeah. And if you don't have tickets for September 21st, I don't even know if they might be sold out by now, but you better, you better wise up and get those as fast as you can.
That's a good call.
If you somehow don't have them. Because that is going to be a great celebration for Carlos. Speaking of great celebrations, that's how good Carlos Vela is. It takes us 20 minutes almost to get to the biggest game, that we're going to see in a while potentially for LAFC as they take on Club América. We do this show when we do this show, it's Thursdays. We're like just basically 48 hours away, a little more than that as we, 2 days away from what we have been talking about for weeks, the massive game. It is the game, right?
Yeah.
For between LAFC and Club América Saturday. I mean, you can't really put it into context. We've already done that. There are no superlatives that really match it. We can say whatever, big game, huge, the game. Like, we all know how big it is. Club América knows. We know. MLS knows. FIFA knows. Liga MX knows. We all know how big this game is. And it just is.
I went from being happy talking about Carlos and his retirement and all that and remembering all those memories to all of a sudden, I am serious now and I'm ready to get down to this game. One of the highest stakes games ever for LAFC, right? Not only the $10 million to the winner for this play-in match, but a chance to get in this tournament and really size up against some of the biggest clubs around the globe is what LAFC is trying to do. A chance to show the world that LAFC belongs on this stage and you can go toe-to-toe with these big clubs, you know? So it's a big opportunity.
No question. You need to win. We know this. We all know what's at stake in that sense. There's no need to over-dramatize that. Everybody knows that they need to win. On both sides, right? I mean, Club América, who knows? They might have had one eye on this game in the Liguilla final just a few days ago where they're trying to win, 4 in a row, whatever it was, and they lose. They're coming in on a very emotional, tough loss. They're going to have to turn that around immediately. If you
I was going to ask you, Dave, is it a good or bad thing for LAFC? Is it a good or bad thing for LAFC that Club América just lost to Toluca in the Sunday final for the Clausura and Liga MX? Because for me, I think Club América is like, I can't wait to get back into another big game. And luckily for Club América, they are in a huge game right away. But is it just too soon? I mean, you just lost like less than a week ago. Is it too soon to jump into a big game?
It's a great question. I think it's a perfect question because it actually takes me, I didn't even think of that. But it takes me back to LAFC losing in the League's Cup final the year, at Columbus. And 4 days later, whatever it was, winning in a huge U.S. Open Cup game. Now, it wasn't the U.S. Open Cup final, but you know what I mean? Like they had to go, leave Columbus. They got to go all the way to Seattle, some tiny stadium in the Evergreen Forest or whatever, and then have to beat a good Seattle team away from home in an Open Cup. Big game, right? Like semifinal, So I know what you mean. Yeah, this is an interesting question you pose. And I'll say, it just depends on the personality of that team, really, right? I mean, because you could argue it both ways. You could argue like, they're going to come in fired up. They don't want to be embarrassed for a second straight game, a big game like that. This is a great team. It's the, biggest club in North America. No question about it. They don't do anything but win either. That's what they're all about. So losing just doesn't, coming in second is not what they're, just like LAFC, that's not what we're after. And certainly with Club América, it's the same. So you could argue that, they could be really fired up, or it's still going to be a bit of a hangover. Or you could argue, I wish they would have won because maybe they would have partied and, celebrated all these, 4 straight or whatever, and like maybe they wouldn't be as focused, but I don't think that's the case either, to be honest. If like my personal belief is, I don't think it really matters. Now, maybe they did have one eye on this game, in which case that's not a good thing in a way, because I'm not saying they didn't want to win the Liguilla, of course, the final, but maybe they also, that's tough on them because you're right. It's 5-6 days of difference and you're all of a sudden you're playing for a trip to the Club World Cup right away. But that's just the kind of club they are. They have friendlies lined up, Mario.
Yeah.
Already, even before the Club World Cup would start, they have a friendly lineup, or did. I think it got moved.
This is a massive club. And massive clubs like this that have been around forever, have won many, many trophies through the years, have a big fan base, supporters all over, everywhere they go. I mean, everyone at LAFC knows how talented this Club América team is and how deep they are at every single position. But then, LAFC players also know that this is an opportunity that doesn't come around very often for LAFC and for any team really to get this opportunity of a 1-game play-in to get into this Club World Cup. And Aaron Long, matter of fact, was talking about this unique play-in match. Here's his words.
I first heard that this could be a possibility. It's just first thing that crossed my mind is like what an opportunity it would be for us as players and for the club. It's so hard to play teams outside of your region, as a club and as a player. You have to qualify for Champions League, and you can only go so far outside your region. We're still, in North America, Central America a little bit. So to be able to play teams from overseas and other countries, it's a huge opportunity, and to show ourselves and to showcase, what this club is made for and built on. It's massive.
At the beginning of the season, I don't know if any LAFC player, anybody in the organization thought that the black and gold was going to have a chance to get into this tournament. So it's a unique situation.
Yeah, it is. And that makes it tricky for both teams in a way. How do you handle that? How have they handled that in the last month? Because we didn't really even know that long ago. This is not like it came up in February, like at the beginning of the season where you're like, hey, everybody, we got a match in June or, May 31st or whatever, like this is just, we all know how recent it's been, of course. And maybe that's a good thing in a way, because you don't have, you don't overthink it on some level. And LAFC, of course, remember, played Club América at a friendly this season, though there wasn't much friendly about it, to be honest.
No.
So there was a lot of kicking and anger there for both teams. They don't love each other, so that's good. We all know the names, right? But look, these are the guys that annoy the heck out of me because they're that good. As Henry Martin, Diego Valdez, Brian Rodriguez, of course, coming back from a little injury, kind of coming back, but we know how good he can be and what he wants to do. Certainly, Victor Davila. The defense is ridiculous. They got 4 or 5 guys they can put back there. They're all pretty much equal to me. That's the thing about this team. It's so deep. I look at like 5 or 6 defenders they can put them in, much like LAFC. Really, that's you don't lose anything if any of those guys are in. I hate Malagon because he's good. Sports hate. Great keeper. He's gonna make 1 or 2 big saves on you that you thought were a goal every game. Like you take the shot, you're like, yes, this is going in. Oh crap, he saved it. Like that's just who he is. So he's gonna do that once or twice every game. So its team is so.
But on the other side, LAFC has Hugo Lloris, of course,
he's going to do that once or twice a game. Yeah, I mean,
but when he came to LAFC, he wasn't even expecting to be in these type of international big game matches.
When I signed for LAFC, I didn't expect, to have those type of opportunities, and I know that in life or in football, when you have this kind of opportunity, you have to take it, and at least you have to try to do everything to take it. But for that, you need to deserve, and there's only one way: to work hard and to do everything on the field, to win this game.
Amen, Hugo. That's exactly right. That's just what LAFC is going to have to do, and he knows, of course, he's been through it all at the highest level, the very highest level. And that's going to be good to have him in there because of that.
I like where he said you have to deserve it. I love that line. Yeah. Just like a veteran with all of the experience, been there, done that. He's like, you have to deserve it.
I know it's at BMO Stadium, but it's going to be pretty equal, like in terms of ticket distribution and stuff. Let's make no mistake. This is not going to be.
It's already sold out. It's
already
not
going to be
announced.
Some massive home field advantage for either team by any means. Like this is going to be pretty even in that sense. Already sold out. So there's no not that there won't be like you get to sleep in your own bed kind of home field advantage. That's great. So Club América still does have to travel and do all that, but it's not going to be like die hard one, 99% of the crowd is like one. So everybody's going to be loud. It's going to be buzzing. We know that.
I can't wait for that atmosphere, Dave. That atmosphere is going to be intense. Oh my gosh.
When we talk about these teams, Mario, we try to be honest, right? No question.
Yeah.
Thankfully, LAFC is great and they're a great club and they're good. So we don't have to try to sugarcoat everything and make it all sound great. These teams are very equal as I watch them. Now, that's not just because they lost in the final to Toluca. You know how I feel about Toluca. So glad to see them win. But Club América is tremendous. Make no mistake. Super deep. But these teams are very, very, very equal. Don't play very similarly. That's where the difference is. Like if you were watching the Toluca match a few days ago thinking, oh, I'm going to watch Club América and see how everything matches up. No, LAFC plays a different style. So does Club América. Like this is a real clash of styles. Styles make fights, as they always say. We all know this is the cliche in the boxing game. And this is going to be very intriguing that way because here's the way it goes. this is my opinion. If either one of these teams plays their best, they can't lose. It's very even. Like if one of these teams goes out and plays their best game, they're not going to lose to the other team. That doesn't take anything away from the other team. That doesn't mean they're a bad team. If somebody has to lose this, right? Somebody's not going on. I know it could end in a draw and go to penalties, so it wouldn't be a loss. I get that, but somebody's going to be bitterly disappointed, and somebody has to go to the tournament. So there's not much separating these teams, honestly. There really isn't. And as I look at them, Club America are not invincible. LAFC is not invincible. That's just the way it is. But they're both so deep that if either one of them plays their best game, they can't lose. They just won't. Yeah. The other team will not be able to handle their best game. Now you got to go out and do that. That's easier said than done. I get it, but that's what, if you're a professional athlete, these are the games. These are the games, not, the third game of the season, on a 4,000-mile road, 3,000-mile road trip, where you're rotated half the team and everything. Okay, that's part of professional sports too. You got to be ready for those. But these are the games you beg for.
And we're talking a lot about the roster and how deep it is for Club América. A lot of other people from other media outlets talk about how deep the roster is for Club América. But you and I know how deep this roster is with LAFC. We know the talent. We know the fight in this group, how much they want to win. This is just a chance to be seen, from the ownership, who would be proud to be involved in this massive tournament, all the way down to the very last player who's trying to get to, the next level in his career, trying to get scouted, trying to be seen. When your number is called, you got to be ready in this match, because it's going to take a full roster. It's going to take everybody top to bottom. Even, if you're already a legend in the world of football, it's going to take you as well. And I love the fact that Olivier scored in the last match against Montreal, because hopefully he can take that momentum into this big game, and hopefully we can see some big time magic from Olivier Giroud, because I think this is a game where he'd be up for. I think it's a tournament that he would be up for if LAFC does qualify for the tournament. So I think,
there's a match
maybe
against
some magic
Chelsea,
there from Olivier.
His former club is the first thing you get in that tournament. So I'm sure Olivier will be fired up for it. No question about it. A lot of tough decisions for both managers, honestly, in this case, because you're so deep. Who do you start? Where's the matchups? What are you looking at against Club America? Who's the best matchups at these positions you want to play? Because you want to dictate the match, how you want to do it. Same thing for Club America, right? Who do they start? There's so many good players on that team to make sure that they maximize what they want to do against LAFC and how they're going to play. So it's definitely a clash of so many things that go. But here's the bottom line. I like it. I love poker, right? You go play at the Bike, you play at Commerce, you go play mostly tournaments. And a lot of people talk in poker. They'll mention, it's not about having your A game. It's how you play when you have your C game and you're not at your best, right? That's that's when you know how good you really are.
Yeah, that's when you're really good.
Okay, but there's no winning this game with your B game. It's not. This is not a game for your C plus, even an A minus. You're going to have to be at the top of your game. It sounds cliche again, but there's no winning this one on a bad night. You better.
And these are one of those games that Olivier is used to playing, these big games. He has all the experience in the world, so he spoke about that as well.
Kind of match you need to play at 110% basically, to get the opportunity to play that kind of competition is a big chance for the boys. I never played it basically when we won the Champions League with Chelsea. I left to Milan the year after, so it could be nice to meet Chelsea again, but obviously it will be the massive game at the weekend against America. We play home. We need to start the game really strong, with good rhythm, strong intensity, and to play with our qualities, and I'm pretty sure, the boys understand the importance of the game for the club and for ourselves, and we need to grab this opportunity to play this competition. Yeah.
No, I'm getting nervous now just hearing all this stuff in a good way, because it's just that big. It really is. You can't overstate it. It's going to be insane.
An LAFC game, Olivier Giroud going up against Chelsea, his former club. And that Group D, though, Dave, Chelsea, and then Brazil's most popular club, Flamengo, and then the African champion, Esperance de Tunis. That's a group that, two teams got to come out of that group. If you're the top two teams, you advance to the knockout round. Does LAFC have a chance if they get into that group to come out as one of the top two teams? I think there's a chance there for LAFC to make some noise and do some damage. And then you get into knockout stages, and who knows what happens in knockout stages. Everybody plays all careful. Nobody wants to make a mistake. So crazy things happen. So it could be
it's like
a lot of fun.
Cup. It's like the World Cup. Look, the best teams in the world are probably going to get deep, super deep, and win, right? I mean, that's just, but
there will be upsets.
A ton of craziness along the way. I mean, like you can, I always point to it. Costa Rica, it's been a few World Cups now. We're a whisker away from a semi-final, like that's anything. South Korea, like things happen, and it's going to be played here. It's after a long season in Europe, like their players might have that built-in excuse. They're kind of worn out, tired, blah, blah, blah. But that all goes away once the ball's kicked. They all count. So you're absolutely right. There are going to be plenty of wild, crazy, results along the way. Why not be part of that, and why not be a part of on the positive side of just, quote unquote upsets and things, everybody talks about like Seattle. They're in a brutal group, no question. And they might just get run off the pitch, but they're at home. I mean, you get that first result. Things go a little bit weird. You never know. I mean, it's like, that's why you go play. These are professional athletes. They're all grown men, like anybody can. I mean, it's not like it's high schoolers versus, the NBA, the Lakers or so. I mean, it's just these are grown men athletes who can all go out and play and perform. But that's what it comes down to on Saturday. It's just going to be, again, you just got to go out and do it better than they do. You got to play better than Club America. If you do that, you'll win. You will win.
And luckily for LAFC, their star, Denis Bouanga, is on fire right now, rolling into this match with 8 goals in the 8 matches. So he needs to make his mark on this match, this playing game. Because if he somehow, is not effective, if he gets shut down, doesn't have a good game on Saturday night, that could be trouble for LAFC. But if he continues to do his thing and dominate, it could be something sweet for LAFC and get into that tournament.
Have we seen anybody for Club America? Like, look, the Liguilla is different because it's the playoffs. You're just trying to work your way through it. Essentially, sometimes it's going to be trickier than others, right? And with Liga MX, I don't hate the rule, but it's also different for a higher seed because you really only have to draw the two. You get that tie break. So there's a lot of weirdness that can go on in those, right? So you're not necessarily seeing the greatest performances all the time. It's the playoffs. We see that a lot. You're just trying to advance. But there's nobody really red hot right now for Club America. That doesn't mean they can't come out and do it on Saturday because they got plenty of talent. But, and again, great players. They've had some good seasons, but they've kind of worked their way through the Liguilla a little bit, especially towards the end, and it wasn't all roses going along the way. And of course they end up stubbing their toe against a better Toluca team who was deserved winner. But so it's not like, again, Club America, taking nothing away from them. They could easily win on Saturday. Either one of these teams, no question. And they could go on and do great things in the Club World Cup. They're that good. But they're not come on. This is not, the greatest team ever assembled here. I mean, they can be beat,
And who's not scared of them is Nathan Ordaz. The youngster Nathan Ordaz is playing with all kinds of confidence. He wasn't scared of them in the preseason. He got chippy with them. He's had some big goals already this year, and he's going to be up for that challenge against the Mexican powerhouse Club América for sure. He knows how big this moment is. He's not afraid of the pressure. He's not going to back down. And you don't think he wants to showcase his skills in that FIFA Club tournament, that World Cup tournament? Of course he wants to show his skills and shows the rest of the world what he can do.
Yeah. No, you're right. Keep an eye out and ear out for this too. What Mario's saying is so true in the sense of you don't want to be overwhelmed, but part of that, letting the moment get to you sometimes is being too aggressive, right? Too out of control early.
Out of control.
A bad yellow card, or heaven forbid, a red card, something stupid, or you make a really big mistake because you're not within your own self. You still have to come out and just be calm enough to actually play your game. And I think so many times these teams because the crowd is so crazy, we're allowed to get hyped up though. Right? If you're a fan, it doesn't matter. You can lose your mind essentially and just go crazy about it.
A fan could be nervous in the stands and watching the game, and you're not going to impact the game.
Absolutely. A lot of times it's which team settles down first, even that has a big advantage. You know, like you got to come out. Yeah, you got to come out flying in terms of you got to go after the ball. You got to be ready. You know, there was an old story, and I don't even remember where like Bruce Arena was telling the team before the 2002 World Cup when they beat Portugal, one of the biggest upsets at that time, you know, in World Cup history, because he was like, look, get the first foul. Get the first tackle, get the first shot, get the first yellow card. You know, I'm paraphrasing and everything, but it was like, come out like heavy at this team, but you still have to not lose your head either. You know, like it's an amazingly tough balance because these games are that big. You know, like you do have to come out flying, and you do got to come out absolutely ready to go. You can't be, you know, late to the party, but you can't be overly aggressive at the party when it starts either. You know, it's
you don't want to make a bad pass, your first touch or something like that, a big turnover or something like that, because then you get in your own head.
On your first touch, even you sky it, you know, like because you're so, you know, amped up, or you're on a breakaway and you dribble past yourself, or you just can't, like, you got to be. That's part of being ready to play at the highest level, you know, and that's one of these teams is going to have to do that to win. There's no doubt. So, and
I'm just pumped up, Dave, for just the whole World Cup tournament, you know, the Club World Cup tournament in general. You know, this is just going to be so entertaining this summer, you know, and it starts just in a little bit over 2 weeks, Dave. It's like right around the corner, June 14th. It's already getting underway, and it's a quick turnaround for whoever wins this play-in game between Club América and LAFC. What a turnaround. It's like, okay, you got to quickly focus on this tournament now and get ready for this huge, massive tournament.
Well, the logistics
and to have the Sounders, Miami already in it. It'd be sweet to have LAFC as the third MLS team in this tournament.
Yeah, the Sounders know they're going to be sleeping in their own beds. Inter Miami know what hotel they're going to be at all 3 games. Some of them are even, you know, at home or whatever. LAFC, we don't, like, you don't know the logistics of anything if you're Club America or LAFC in that sense. I mean, you can kind of, I guess you kind of, some of your staff have to kind of plan ahead, of course, you know, and like be ready for it, if you will. But it's not like you really know, you know, like it's just, you're right. It's madness. But in a way, I love that because I don't want this game to have 6 months before if we win. You know, like I don't want 6 months before the tournament starts. In a way, it's like this is the game. This starts the tournament for me, obviously. Yeah. And all LAFC and Club America fans. This is the start. This is the kickoff of the tournament, right? We just got to win this game. Let's go. You know, like, and then boom, you're right. You won't even have much time to worry about it. You just got to get ready and go. And I kind of like that in a way. You know, it's like, obviously this is a unique experience or a unique situation where it probably won't ever happen again necessarily. But so it's not like it's a common thing, but it's just such a unique opportunity on so many levels. And that's one of them. Like, hey, if we win this, you got 2 weeks basically, and you can go play Chelsea and kick off 3 incredible matches, at least 3. Now imagine getting into the knockout stages, the teams that are going to probably be there. Oh my gosh. Oh,
wow.
Like, I mean, just,
this and just to be clear for those wondering for this play-in game, if, you know, there's not going to be no ties. Somebody's got to win this night on Saturday night. So if they are tied on goals on the score line at the end of 90 minutes, there's going to be extra time. And then after extra time, there'll be PKs.
Oh, I can't stand them. I can't stand penalty kicks.
Which is a very high possibility too. So
oh my gosh.
I would hate for that to happen.
I'm a guy who you have to have penalty kicks. You can't play all year, right? You can't just, because you're still in a whole tournament. You can't just run yourself, you know, like it's unfair in a sense. You have to have a winner that moves on, even though it's a draw, you know, but so I know the necessary nature of it. You have to have them. I agree. But I hate them in the sense that, like, if I'm not broadcasting it, a lot of times I can't even watch them. Even if it's 2 neutral teams, I can't really even watch them. They're so painful. You know, if it's a great World Cup game, I had a hard time watching the World Cup final penalty kicks. And I didn't even really care. I mean, I wanted Messi to win, honestly, because it was the story, and I like Messi and wanted to see him actually hoist the trophy. And, you know, France, all love to Hugo Lloris and Olivier. They had already won, you know, they won 1-2, you know, like, I can't stand those penalties. Like, it's so intense. Yeah. Oh, I mean, look, if that's what it takes for LAFC to move on, great. Let's, you know, we won an MLS Cup with them.
MLS Cup, yeah.
You know, and it thankfully worked out very well. It wasn't that tense I hate them though. It's like it's not even fun, it's just too much. Oh, but I would love it. I mean, on one level,
so last night
why not?
I'm watching all the MLS games last night. Of course, the midweek games are all going on. Almost every single team is playing. And I remember, we all remember that LAFC was supposed to play in a game last night at BMO Stadium, but it got postponed. LAFC is supposed to play this Saturday an MLS game, but that game has got postponed. So there's a couple of games that have already been postponed. If they make it into the tournament, there'll be some more games postponed. I don't know where all these games are going to fit in, but it's a good problem to have. But just for the fans, when you look at the standings, the MLS standings, just know that there has been some games postponed. LAFC is behind probably by 2 or 3 games compared to other teams around the league. So just keep that in mind.
Let's hope that's the problem we face, right? I hope the rest of the schedule is jam-packed because we made a deep run in the Club World Cup and won that. Let's do it. But that all starts on Saturday. You got to win against Club América. One of these teams has to go on, and one of them will not, and that is going to be just a massive game. I can't wait. Mario, great stuff. What a show.
Great stuff, baby.
Super excited. Go LAFC. They got a great shot. They play well, they'll win. Bottom line, just go get it done. Episode 57. Always a pleasure, Mario. Take us out of here, brother.
Yeah, always a pleasure. Today was a good one, exciting one. We'll see you at BMO Stadium for this epic match. Hopefully a historic one for LAFC. That's Dave Denholm. I'm Mario Ruiz. This has been LAFC Plus. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace.